Yeah, unfortunately, I was recording. I was recording the browser and not the screen. So I moved this Excel spreadsheet to the screen, and then you're still seeing Forge of Empires, which is not quite as useful. You should be able to see my spreadsheet now.
I see it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Um,
see it.
yeah, and I'm looking at kind of the bits we've highlighted in red show where we've got a shortfall, and the number next to each age shows the number of players that are in that age, and it calculates based on the level of arc we've got each player at each age, and I've got details that I'm kind of updating about once a week, and the levels of the statues of honor across the guild. And it's kind of worthwhile we've got statues of honor because we get quite a good input from the statues of honor. Because if I look at the totals from statues of honor, you can see that they sum up very quickly. Even somebody, we look at Dionysus there, he's getting 50 goods a day from his statue of honor, and he's getting 48 from his arc at level 7. So you bring them together, or actually 48 between his arc and his observatory. So the two of them together are less than what he gets from the statues of honor. So that combination actually works out really well for us. But our shortfall is in those ages where we've got a bulk of new players, and we're going to need to build up, which is why we need statues of honor and particularly arcs in those ages, because that's going to help us build up the shortfall.
Hi, Dion.
Hi, Dion.
Oh, hi. Hi, Dion.
Hello.
The 50%, Fred, was my proposal to actually
You're not
address
including
that.
some of the event buildings that give.
I'm not including the event buildings, which some of them do give goods, but it tends to be the massive goods will actually come from things like statues of honor and arcs. And if you look at the arcs, if you look at, my arc's quite high and is giving hundreds of goods a day. But those people that are going to be in the later ages are likely to have bigger arcs and are likely to be producing a great deal of goods a day. We're currently, we're producing more than 4 times the amount of goods we need per day out of the latest age, and the only other age that comes close to matching that or actually exceeds it, bizarrely, is the one person we've got in modern era, which is Raoul, because he's got a good high level arc and various other buildings that are really helping. So his average is actually means that we're achieving better in that age than any other age.
I'm just looking at my city. I'm in high Middle Ages.
Yeah.
I'm doing about 30 goods per day from the Statue of Honor. I'm doing another 65, so that's 95 a day. So that's just with a level 4 arc and a level 3 Statue of Honor. So we don't need that much from new players to get us back up to snuff, do we?
No, we don't need a great deal, but it's kind of in terms of goods balancing. The more we can get Merb, the better, and the more goods we and looking at our expenditure per day in battlegrounds, I'm basing the 2,500 in a kind of an expenditure level of high gold, low platinum battlegrounds. We're in diamond at the moment, and we're doing remarkably well considering the amount of goods we've got available. So we're doing really well as a guild. Hi, Lucinda.
Hi.
Hi.
So in terms of a way forward for arcs, what I'm looking for is a 50% thread. to initially contribute towards arcs, which ideally will get arcs up very quickly, and it will then, once we've got a few arcs established, means that we can grow new arcs and spread blueprints around, but also begin to grow other buildings. Because once we get people up to kind of the mid 30s and onwards, they can begin to look at contributing to something like 1.9 Freds, which give them a lot more blueprints, a lot more medals, and potentially a great deal of return in city points and forge points as well. Building, our aim is really to build everybody's that's going to be staying around in the guild, all of their arcs up to level 80 as soon as we reasonably can, which means everybody becomes self-sufficient, but that's going to take some time. But just the comparison I made in the video drew out, if you got a 1.9 Fred, so everybody is contributing 1.9 to that building, which means if they've got a level 80 arc, they're basically giving goods and getting a neutral effect on them, because they'll get exactly the same amount of goods back. So they get 1.9 the reward for each position. To get a level 10 arc with that sort of scenario, they're putting on 209 goods for first place, but the owner has to put on 608 goods, which is a extreme onus on somebody who's got a level, or was going for a level 10 arc. That's quite a lot of goods. If you make the same comparison, and the comparison I made in the video that I issued was, if you split that 608 and they contribute to other people's arc, they can actually help 10 people get third place on 10 people's arcs for the same amount of goods. And yeah, I know it comes out at 630, but they actually get rewards of 100 forge points rewards for those 10 third places, so it's actually net 530 cost in goods, plus they will get at level 6 they would get 10 blueprints back as well. So what I'm looking to suggest is that KJ and I are willing to kind of fund first and second place in arcs. The lower levels, it really doesn't matter, because everybody will be able to fund those, the first, second and second level arcs. But third level arcs upwards, it starts to become expensive. At level 10, 50%, it's 485 goods. 485 forge points to take first place, 242 for second. The lower positions actually start then to become more able to aim at for players at your level, or players that haven't got arcs. And as soon as they get to level 4, every position is giving some blueprints back. And in terms of you getting blueprints back, one of the other ways I was looking at rewarding it was doing special offers on my buildings, whereby I raise my arc and try and get it from, kind of, the example at the moment would be level 99 to 100. Ninth place, I think, would be 9 or 10 blueprints, which is a great hit in one go, but it cost me 3,000 forge points plus to be able to do that, just to be able to get other people to take the first, second and third place at 1.9 to enable me to do it. So it's also more efficient from my point of view in helping you out with a 50% Fred. Merb, you'd already said that you'd got the concept of a 50% Fred started for players that have are building arcs or low-level players that are trying to get blueprints for their arcs. How's that going? Is it working out, or is it does it have any problems?
This level should finish off okay, but then the next level I'll start be looking for other people for first and second.
So what
Because
level are you at the moment?
with my junior player, I joined my old guild. I was just looking at what was going on there.
Okay,
I'm at level 4.
right. So what I'm suggesting, Merb, either you open up your thread and return it into kind of a 50% thread, and invite KJ and myself and maybe one or two others that can contribute to it. The other route is how we play that thread, because while I agree with you to a certain extent, keeping it restricted to the people that need it is good. We don't want it abused. We don't want to open it up to all players and brand new players that we don't know immediately, but we do want to open it up to everyone that we can to try and develop them. It's always a bit of a debate as to should you be completely liberal and include everyone, which is a risk that you're going to get ripped off by some people, or do you keep it restricted and then there's a two-tier system of some people that can achieve and some that are always going to achieve more. It's a bit of a balancing exercise, and I would like to focus on those people that need access to begin with. If we begin with arcs, then that's probably a sensible route, but there will be other great buildings we may want to put into a 50% thread at some point. And the other route to consider, Merb, is what I suggested earlier on: is is there any merit in running two processes, in having your side thread where you've got a group of people, or and another 50% thread as well, side by side? I can think of one or two benefits of that, but I can think of perhaps more detriments in my mind to it, in that we've got numerous threads and people trying to understand where they are. My
The thing
preference
is,
would be one.
Mal, the thing you have to bear in mind is that to try to help people move up quicker, all the forge points they put into my arc are returned to the great building of their choice. So when I put together my group, these are people I've been swapping with for months. So I
Right.
know that as such, right? So if you open it up to everybody, I don't think I could just keep on doing the replay or return all the forge points because it gets a little too scattered. You know what I mean?
No, I understand that, and maybe that you want to keep running that. I will want to open up a 50% thread for the guild, um, but I also want to keep it focused on those great buildings that we need to address um, early on. So I would have a preference to populating arcs currently, or building arcs currently in the ages early middle age, high middle age, and late middle age, because that's where we've got a good shortfall, and not missing the other people out, but doing them perhaps at a slower pace. Um,
What once I have this one level to number 4, um, the top levels are going to be too high for the junior players. So why don't I finish off this round, repay everybody, and then I'll move it over into your 50% thread. And when the first 3 are taken over, I can always bring fourth and fifth and look out for people who don't have an arc to give them those as such.
Yeah, in which case we need to be careful of who we've got in the thread and how we do that, because it gives an accelerated route for people to develop great buildings. And I don't expect this to be the complete answer straight away and a ready built total solution. It would be something that I'm open to for it to be tuned. I've done the maths and looked at what I consider to be the best way, but if somebody comes up with something better, I'm all ears. It's this. I don't want to run the guild and KJ and I as a dictatorship. If other people have got good ideas, we will listen to them and execute them if we think they're worthwhile.
My 50% thread was for a group of people that I've known quite a while. Uh, I've gone through various guilds with them. We've run various swaps. Um, but come this level, I'm more than happy to stop it and put it into one for the whole guild because I've been narrowly focusing on the people that I interact with all the time. I haven't been focusing on what's best for the guild, other than everybody having an arc is good for the guild.
Yeah, no, that's good. It sounds like perhaps a way forward. So I'll set up a 50% thread and we'll begin to invite people to it and begin to see how it does and invite others to it as it begins to build up. Because the more arcs we get going, that the more capability everybody has to help everybody else and help new players as they come in. Because we've got a reasonably good base. We've got 50 people in the guild now, of which I think 45 are probably very active. There's one or two that are slightly less active, and we understand in some cases why. And there's, like always, there'll be one or two that may not stay around with us. That's just life. But to have kind of 40 plus active in a 50 player guild is actually quite remarkable within Forge of Empires. It's normally 4 or 5 that are active in a 50-man guild. So
Yeah, we're doing pretty well there, aren't we, really?
we are doing exceptionally well, yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed it all since I've been on the game. It's like really built right up.
Yeah, but take a look. I mean,
I
I
think
wouldn't have
it's-
had my arc without Mal doing the 2-to-1 for me at highly unadvantageous for him goods. So I mean, you're going to build loyalty like that.
Yeah, and I'm willing to help people out because I have ambition for the guild to do well. I would love us to get top spot one day. At the moment that's a pipe dream, but to get up in and compete with some of the bigger guilds, with the base of people we've got, we can do it. But to be able to do that, you people need help and a helping hand to do it. If I've got the capability to make that happen, then I'd be stupid not to, because I'm spiting myself, Merv, not to do it, because it means the guild won't develop, I don't develop. So yeah, the two go hand in hand here.
Back to my old guild. If Inyo's not listening, it's a great recruiting ground, I think. For the simple fact is that you've got threads of 6 or 7 or 8 calls to open up level 2 of guild exploration, and there's only 1 or 2 people that are all on Australian time zones that can do it.
Yeah. And again, that's silly, because again, as the guild develop, I'm sure KJ would agree, we will release more permissions and more authority to people. People like yourself, Merb, we've already given permission to invite. I trust you and others to invite. People that have been with us for a few weeks and have shown that they're loyal to us and that they're reasonable and behaving decently to everybody else, we will give extra permissions to. That's the way it works. Lucia, you were going to say something? I could see your name flashing.
Oh no, I just changed it to off mic.
Yeah. No, I saw several people going to say something just as I was about to talk. I've covered everything I wanted to say about the 50% thread. I will execute it, or that's my intention. Are there any other questions?
My question is, I think this is fantastic. Actually, I think it's a really, really good idea, and I will help as much as I can with all the others that are lower down. Very happy to do that. My arc, I'm just getting to level 10 now. So I'm on the 10th one. Thanks for all your help, Matt. You've done a marvellous job for me.
Yeah, and I kind of with you and with one or two of the others, Kit, started doing a 50% contribution when I can to your arcs, and it demonstrates what it can do and how quickly it can help. And you know, that was kind of the trying ground, but you benefited from the fact that, you know, you were perhaps an early adopter without realizing that that's what I was doing.
I'm always ahead of the crowd.
Yes, it's good to be ahead of the crowd. From level 10 upwards.
I have used it to pay back blueprints to other members. Maybe's thread, that's what I've done. So.
And that works great. And again, it's something that I want to do in the 50% thread, because at the lower levels, you know, at fourth and fifth place, are achievable for people in the 50% thread. You know, it's not. It shouldn't be a major problem. The other really useful thing is the 50% thread cannot be sniped. It's impossible to snipe it. If somebody takes a place, then it is guaranteed, and the only place that can be achieved are places below the ones that have already been taken.
Yeah, I just clocked that. I just worked that out looking at it, and I'm just really happy about that. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's kind of nicely locks people out. Our problem, well, KJ and my problem will be how quick and how many great buildings might be going through there, and how quickly we can turn around great buildings leveling, because what we don't want to do is tie thousands of forge points up waiting for them to be returned in terms of value. And you know, first place on a level 10 arc, you know, I'm potentially giving 485 and getting 209 back, but that 209 could be half of the donation to the next person's great building. So
I feel like an apology coming here because I haven't leveled my art.
Yeah, it's about trying to turn them around quickly, but getting the 50% thread going would mean we can turn them around a little bit more quickly, because people are aware of it, and the more people we get in it, the quicker it can turn around. If it can turn around as quickly as it does, as when I put special offers up, that would be fantastic. But that's like a bad Friday or bad Black Friday with people going for the bargains. So yeah.
Mal, I've got a
and in the
suggestion
guilds
for you.
that I'm in, what they do is they have somebody who runs this sort of thing, a little bit slightly different, but they have dedicated times where people that they say they want in, they stay on the thread until they've done that arc.
And it might well
do
be
like
that might be a good
arcs at a
idea.
time.
That might be a good idea. Merb was going to say something as well.
Here's a suggestion, Mal, and it just hit me, and I've got to get it out before I forget because it's starting to lose my mind. On your 50 thread, to get people in the idea of being prompt, make the 50% thread a condition that you are not to select a position on a great building unless you have the forge points either in your bar or in your bank.
Yeah, and that sounds like a sensible way forward, which is kind of what I want. I want, and I'm asking for when I do future special offers, that people don't book a place until they can pay for the place. and that we almost put great buildings up for bidding, and everybody bids for the place and takes it, and it's a few minutes to level it, not waiting days for it to happen.
It's just getting people used to the idea. If you don't have the forge points, don't ask for the position. Don't say, I'm going to have some forge points in 5-10 minutes. Just get used to people. No forge points, no building.
And I like the approach.
That actually I do. And you're waiting for ages to get. You know what I mean? When you go.
Because
See,
let's
see,
be
that's why I
realistic.
think having a time slot. You might want to have two. You might want to have, because we've got people that live at different time zones, so that people can't do one, they can do another. But if you have a time slot, people can make sure they've got forge points ready for that time slot.
Yeah, the other option
You know
is
what I mean?
getting all these people with jobs and just get retired people because they can be on all the time.
Yes, yeah.
We need to just canvass and find out what sort of times people could do,
Well,
and see if that's possible.
we've got a representative set of the guild here. We've got 8 people. It's kind of approaching 20% of the guild, or 20% of the active players. We can I can suggest a format to the rest of the guild, and we'll let's try and make it work. But yeah, whether it's time slots or whether it's a great building gets committed and people are able to say, I'm gonna fill that spot on that building, and it doesn't. Nobody gives anything until everybody can give something fairly quickly, because we want to eliminate people sniping, but we also want to make sure that the blueprints end up with people in the guild, that we're able to build up more arcs and build the guild up quickly. I could see that we're going to have 1 or 2 teething problems, and that there may be some issues that we need to sort out. But I think everybody's agreeing to the general principle. It's a good idea. Trying to time it so that everybody commits to it, and making sure that only those people with the forge points immediately at hand donate is another great idea, and it's what we should be doing anyway. KJ and I can kind of look at certainly for the kind of level 4 and 5 upwards, first and second place fairly easily. It's the others that are going to be more of a challenge, and that's just about making sure we've got everybody committed to do the slots. So let me start something off, and then we can fine tune it. We can always get back on and say, do you know what, this bit doesn't work, we should do that, we should do the other. I think actually making it work and having a go is going to be the way to make this work. And tomorrow I will set up the thread and perhaps suggest the first few buildings that we can get through it, to see if we can get some people getting some blueprints and some arcs beginning to level.